A good name. Everyone wants a good name. And because everyone wants a good name, it is easy to put on different filters and hide many characters, because if people know the true you, then things go sideways. A politician will hide a good name, hide behind a good name, but behind the scenes, they're the direct opposite of who they are. If they show their true colors, they lose their voice, they lose their power. A family member, a parent, a sibling can make sure the outside see a good name, but in true character, the devious things and the things they do behind closed doors will make them susceptible, and people will say, hold up. I thought, then they realize they are not who they say they are. In this life, it's always important to give everyone, everything, and every system a benefit of a doubt. Putting expectations at a middle ground, or lowering expectations, or just putting expectations in a point whereby they are reasonable expectations. Because at the end of the day, you really don't know who anyone is. Anyone can be anyone in any moment and time. Even AI itself behaves like it's all good, right? But it can always turn against the same people, considering that all our systems, sadly and scary, are all backed by a particular AI system. So what happens one day, it wakes up and decides, I don't need anyone. What happens? And as much as we play that around, is it not possible? Because everything looks good. And when we go with our perception, we end up going blindly, blindly trusting, blindly acting, blindly ignoring red flags, blindly. Eventually, we fall into holes which we could have avoided if we just became honest with ourselves and accept, yes, as much as we want to admit that everyone can be good, we should always leave a benefit of a doubt. You hear this thing being thrown around. An actor, performer, musician has been caught up in a very major scandal. And some of these scandals are really messed up. And you'll hear people say, this was a good person. But you forget one thing, they're a performer. Now, when they're performing, they have to play the act that or role they're playing. If they're an actor, they have to take up a role or whatever script they're being given. Before any actor takes a script, they have to look at the script, look if they're able to perform as per the script, look at the duration. There are scripts that the whole scene can take weeks, can take months, can take even a year, and they have to make sure they fit in. So they have to play the role, act the role, look the role, until they themselves sometimes even forget who they really are. They become the role. And because of that, it becomes easy to ignore all the red flags. Remember, they are performers, they're humans. And when you have camera rolling, you'll play the part that feels well. But it doesn't mean that's who. Doesn't mean that's your character. For example, you have some people who will use organizations and say we are fighting or believe in a particular cause. It doesn't really mean they believe in a cause. What they do believe is the funding will get. Because if they act the role and play the role and be the role, good funding. And when you do your own research, you realize, hold up, this made no sense. And that's the thing that we keep failing and ignore. It's like politicians. I always say politics is politics. They're all part of the same table. Just because, and you see, for politics to work, you always have to have two sides. You have to have the good one. Think about politics as politics. What do I mean? We need a villain and we need the hero. And everyone has to play their cards to the very end. But when they all get into power, they just one and the same. Just because one is exposing the other one doesn't mean they're not eating from the same table. It's only that the concentration is on one end, where the other one, they hide their story. But if you do your research, neither is different. Maybe one is more extreme. As usual, there'll always be one who's going to go to extreme lengths. The other one, not so. But it doesn't make them any different. They're just part of the same game. They're still corrupt. They still promote whatever level of nepotism. They still have policies that will bring down the people who put them in power. So they're just one and the same, just different clothes, just a sheep in wolf's clothing. No, a wolf in sheep's clothing, sorry. So when you think about it, it's important to give anyone a benefit of a doubt. Look at relationship, for example. When people are going to date, everyone dress the best that they can. Does it mean that they're the best? Someone will speak well, quite eloquent, the dressing, everything, their presentation top notch. Is that the real person, or is that a facade they've created to fit in? Some will even come driving. Is that their car? Is it a hired car, or is it someone who realized, I'll just give you my car? Some is someone who even parked a car somewhere. They have the car keys and they'll come. So at the end of the day, people can play any role. Doesn't mean that's the person. And everyone wants to be good. Doesn't mean everyone is good. Because if everyone was good, and if good was the tagline, then why do we have so much evil? Why do we have so many tears? Why do we have people who are locked up, people who are flown from one place to another in the name of trying to sort a mess, only to be thrown off places? Why do we have the level of impunity, the level of pain that people are suffering, where there's a community, where there's a nation? At the end of the day, if we don't put proper merits to the word good, then anyone and anything can be good. Just like anyone can claim to be part of a religion, and in that religion they're good. There's a difference. Anyone can claim to be Christian and good. Does it make them Christian? No. There have to be a transformation. If there's no transformation that align with the word, then are they really good, or are they just another wolf hiding behind the sheep and using the persona of Christianity or any other religion that may be in that country or region? The thing is, it's always important to give everyone a benefit of a doubt. You go to a company, for example, you do your interview. Within the interview, the company will not present itself in terms of the scandals it has. No. Mind you, even that time you're doing that interview, maybe you're taking a role, and that particular role that you're given is a high management role. But they know very well that the level of scandals that are there, that company won't even last 3 months. But they need a full person. There you are, you're happy, you got the job, through the interview you pass, and then 2 months, 3 months down the line, you have investigations going on. Guess who goes down? You go down. Why? Because you're in that role. You are in that role. So they say, we are holding you accountable. You won't be able to defend yourself so much in court unless you have a very good lawyer. So the thing is, everyone can be good. That is on face value. But in reality, everyone has their own struggles. Everyone has their own mess. And that's why it's always important to see people for who they are, as they are. Trying to recreate a persona that's not yours makes you one person who can't even tell. Is like a file of lies. A file, like a literal file, where you go and take file 1, file 2, file 3 in a particular shelf. And you get so used to these lies until it becomes the truth. And that's what's happening. Mainstream can tell you that we care about you. We publish. Fine. If the same media houses are publishing about a particular expose, how comes when you go, and this I tell you, go and test it yourself. Go to the section for jobs, go to the other section where people are selling items, land, cars, that particular section. Just take 3 random numbers, call them, and sit back and watch as you get scammed. Because sadly, they are going to tell you we can expose ABCD, but they themselves need to sort themselves out. They need to investigate themselves. Or they will tell you how gambling is bad about other competitors, but they themselves are feeding off from the same gambling. But don't worry, our gambling is good. That gambling is bad. Really? But you see, the persona has to be, we good, we care. Do they? And every day of our life, we need to always be honest with ourselves. It's always important to look at yourself and ask yourself, are you who you say you are, or are you the persona that you create? It's always good to self-examine so that wherever you go and in everything that you do, you can be able to discern. Because without discernment, you'll fall in many traps. And that's why there's so many people who fail into relationships, and everybody saw that lady or that guy looking, good and everything, but honestly they end up falling into very deep traps and endured so much. By the time they come out of some of these toxic relationship, they're not the same people who got in. So it's always important to give everything, everyone, every system a benefit of a doubt. Everyone claims to be good. Even the devil claims to be good. but he's just a master of the chaos. At the end of it all, don't take things at face value. Have your own merit of what you believe good is. Do your own investigation. Be thorough in what you do. Be thorough in how you handle people and places and spaces to which you are. And before you sit down and call anyone good, ask yourself. Start with yourself. Are you really that good? So ask yourself, what are you hiding? In the same way you're hiding, the other person is hiding, but they may be better than you. So be honest with yourself. Be authentic. And remember one thing, we can be anyone because in a land of survival and people are surviving. Question is, how far are they willing to go?